What is going on, guys? It's Tony's Takeaway back at it with another Laker video. And in this one, I'm going to be covering the Lakers-Suns game. Obviously, it was a primetime game, right? The second regular season game for the Lakers, and they lost. And although the final score might not seem as bad, it was definitely a, what do I call it? They definitely got blown out earlier. They were down by 30 at a certain point, and it was just not fun to watch. But let me go ahead, and I actually wanted to rant because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the Lakers, they're not contenders, they're not as good as advertised, they're not going to win, they're too old. All these things people are going to be talking about, right? Especially with the fight between Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis. My explanation for that is it's two guys being extremely competitive in the heat of the moment and a huge amount of frustration because of them getting blown out by the Phoenix Suns. So don't make it any more than that. Don't try to twist the storyline up and say, can these guys play together? Can these guys mesh? Can the chemistry come through? Because Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis have won a championship together already, so I don't want to hear that nonsense. But let me go to the actual game because there's a lot to cover in terms of individual performances or what happened in terms of, other factors that influence the game. So actually, I'm first going to talk about the refs. The refs, straight up, I can't believe it. The refs screwed the Lakers over. And yes, I am not going to excuse the Lakers playing poorly. They got dominated into the paint, right? They had some careless turnovers. I get all of that. But my thing is that you are winning in the second quarter. The Lakers were winning. And all of a sudden, the Phoenix Suns just started to get every single call. Jay Crowder, Chris Paul, they were jumping forward into the defender, right? And they were getting three-point shots that were called fouls. They're getting flagrant fouls on someone like LeBron, right? They're getting these players into foul trouble because of ultimately the refs. I think if you watch the game from an unbiased perspective, if you watch the game, then the refs were definitely favoring Phoenix in a sense. Because, Phoenix, they had 20 free throws or something, 18 free throws in the second, and the Lakers they had 4. So my point is that when the Suns get that many free throws off of BS calls, chances are they're probably going to win this game. And I get it. The final score might say the Lakers were in it 100% of the game, but they were not. After the second half, it was just after the first half, there was a bunch of frustration, right? Even Frank Vogel got attacked. A lot of players got attacked on the Lakers because of the frustration, because of the bad calls from the refs. I thought we were fixing that. I thought that we were fixing how you jump into a defender, or especially if you kick your leg out, that's an offensive foul. But the only time that got called was when Russell Westbrook did it. Not when Jay Crowder did it, not when Chris Paul did it, only when the Lakers did it. So that's what I'm saying. When the Suns, what did they have? They had 22 free throws. And the Lakers, it's just annoying because those free throws that the Suns earned, they weren't off of legitimate fouls. Those were not fouls. Those were the Suns simply just flopping and doing what they do best. And, I know they're the defending Western Conference champs, but I'm saying is, I think they're going to be exposed this year. I don't think, they're as good as people might want to think that they are. They're not going back to the finals. This team, I'm telling you now, the Lakers would have won this game had it not been for the refs. Obviously, you have some fault for the Lakers as well, right? LeBron, he had a pretty good game himself, especially from the three-point line, him shooting 5 of 8 from the 3, right? But you had AD, right? He shot 6 of 18, but he shot 10 of 11 from the free throw line, which is always a good sign, right? Westbrook, he had a better game than last game, but that's, it's pretty easy to do considering the kind of game he had. But overall, just given how the first half was going, you thought, okay, maybe the Lakers were going to come away with the win in this one, right? They're playing hard, they're playing good, right? And players like Westbrook were being more aggressive. LeBron was knocking down threes. It definitely did, it at least told me that this game was going to be competitive. And that's what I wanted to see. But the refs screwed the Lakers over. And if you have 2 eyes and a brain, then you know that the Lakers got screwed over by the refs. All the momentum that the Lakers possibly could have had by beating the Suns in the second quarter was taken away as soon as possible. As soon as the calls started happening, right? When the Lakers are up 5 to 6 points and the Suns get 3 free throws and another 3 and another 2 because of a flagrant call and another free throw, it adds up, okay? And my thing is that it just cannot happen. When a team shoots that many free throws because of BS calls, chances are is that they're going to win the game. It's not that the Suns did anything impressive they didn't do anything impressive to me. And for all the haters out there that are probably saying, you know what, the Lakers are in trouble, Lakers, they need to do this, they need to break it up, blah, 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 blah. But y'all need to shut up, especially about Frank Vogel, because I can't believe what I'm seeing when it comes to the Frank Vogel slander. Every single time, fire Frank Vogel, the coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing. This is the same coaching staff that won the 2020 championship. This is the same coaching staff who had the first-ranked defensive efficiency in the league last season without LeBron and AD for most of the season. So now all of a sudden you start 0-2, one game because of the refs, and then game one, okay, it's fair. But you're really going to put that against Frank Vogel? Are you kidding me? I mean, if you think that Frank Vogel, if you think he needs to get fired, then you have no brain. You have no basketball knowledge. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not even going to entertain that question, should he get fired or not, because that's literally dumb. If you think he has to get fired, then you don't know basketball, period. And then as far as I'm concerned with the rest of the roster, I didn't really see much in terms of, this guy needs to go, this guy needs to go. I think they'll get their act together. The Lakers will get a winning streak going. Them starting 0-2 doesn't mean anything to me. And yes, they were getting blown out by the Suns, but if memory serves right, didn't the Bucks just get blown out by the Heat? But we want to just talk about the Lakers losing to every team, because obviously they are the premier franchise in this league, and they will get made fun of if they lose. If they win, people try to discredit them as much as possible. So, I mean, listen, I told you guys before, they didn't do much that impressed me, right? You had Bridges who did his thing, right? Crowder, I think Crowder flops a lot. I think Crowder's a loudmouth. I don't think Crowder's all that amazing, And then you had Devin Booker, he did his thing. Chris Paul doing his thing. I mean, the Suns team we already know is good. When I say that they're not going to do as good as they did last year, it's me implying that they're not going to make the finals this year. I genuinely believe that. But when I hear that the Lakers should do this, or they should do that, they should break up the team, that, this team's not going to work, it's just idiotic. And I know for sure that the refs played a huge part in this loss for the Lakers. You can say, the Suns had less free throws or whatever the case is. But the fact of the matter is that it also is important to know when those free throws came along, right? If you are on a run, or if the game is close, those free throws, if they come in a close manner and the Suns get a bunch of them, that's going to favor them in terms of winning the game. The Lakers got free throws, but they actually got free throws because they drove into the paint, right? They're actually getting fouled. And there's so many times where there's a charge called against the Lakers and a blocking call called for the Suns. And, there's Chris Paul elbowing and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, what are the refs watching? Seriously, it's not hard to tell that the refs were definitely not on the Lakers side. They weren't even on a neutral side. They were definitely favoring Phoenix with their calls, and it's just such BS that had to happen, because I genuinely believe that this game would have been an exciting one to watch. But instead, you had the refs that screwed over the Lakers, right? Then you started losing. Then you had Dwight Howard and AD that got frustrated because of it. Then they started butting heads. And then this team just fell apart once the second half begun, right? So when you have all of those things, it all happened because of one reason. And it's because of these stupid calls by the refs. Now, I'm not solely blaming the refs. I do believe that the Lakers could have played better. I do think Westbrook could have played better. I think AD could have played better. That being said, this was still a very close game, and the Lakers were winning prior to the refs interfering. So, yes, I do believe that the Lakers will be fine. I do believe that Frank Vogel and the coaching staff will get the job done, because whoever's criticizing them, you do not know basketball. For you guys to criticize Frank Vogel, that's idiotic. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm chilling. You know, I mean, I wasn't surprised that the Lakers lost this game because this was against the reigning Western Conference champs and the Phoenix Suns, right? I mean, we know the way they play, right? They have a bunch of free throws. They do a little acting, right? You have your Devin Booker, you have Chris Paul, you have Jay Crowder, especially Bridges as well. So I'm not surprised. But I mean, that's all. I mean, I have nothing else to say about it. I think the Lakers will get the job done. But it's going to take some time and there's going to be some growing pains, and I think we all need to acknowledge that. But other than that, that's all for this video. If you guys agreed or whatever the case is, let me know in the comment section below. Drop this video a like and subscribe more, guys. Peace out, guys. Take it easy.